Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of episode 4 to It. Welcome to Derry, which is currently on HBO and HBO Max for your viewing pleasure. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite shows to watch this year. I was highly anticipating this show, being a big fan of this property, as you all know, if you've been listening to my reviews and recaps of this season thus far, you know that I'm a big fan of it. And I was a little skeptical with it because, getting a long form storytelling element from it, are we going to hit those notes as we got in the miniseries and in the movies? And so far, so good. This was a very eye-opening episode, excuse the pun, um for today. This was man, look, I don't know if they can keep this momentum going throughout the show. We're what, halfway through so far. I think there's 8 episodes. I can't remember exactly, but man, they are firing on all cylinders. As far as the creep and the scares, they really are hitting some really good points here, and the storytelling. I'm impressed with the storytelling. This episode 4, is the slowest one of the 4. As far as, I guess, action, for lack of a better term, but the story is what is keeping you engaged. This was a very character driven episode. But I'm not complaining. Even though it's the weaker of the 4, it's still very, very good. Episode 4 gives us a proper origin to it. Through the, I guess, the shine that we got from the indigenous person. What was his name? Taniel. We got a glimpse into the stories that these Native Americans or indigenous people have passed on throughout their generations, and come to find out that it's true. And we got the origin of it and where it came from, off in space. And if you read the books, and full disclosure, I didn't read the books, but I I did do a clip notes version of it in the past, so I do know about the turtle, and where it came from is basically an alien, and why is just centered in Derry, Maine. And so I do know that much. So we got a actual depiction of the origin of it that we didn't get in the miniseries too much, and in the films too much. Didn't touch in on those elements of it. And so it was good to see that story and how that house is linked, and why it is relegated to just this portion of the town, and why it attacks children, and all this and all this and all this. And so this episode really flushed all that out, and it just got us that much closer to actually seeing it, to seeing Pennywise, who we are all itching in our pants to get to. I mean, we are getting it. It is throughout this series so far, all 4 episodes, but we haven't seen it manifest itself as Bill Skarsgård's character of Pennywise the Dancing Clown. But we're getting there. We've gotten silhouettes of him, but not actually him. In this episode, we find the kids. We pick up right off of episode 3, where the kids took those pictures in the graveyard, where we saw the pictures. But when we open up this episode and they bring those pictures to the police, and the police don't see that. Nobody else sees the pictures other than the children. They do see that clown picture, though. They do see the little far off distance silhouette in the glowing eyes of the clown figure, but still can't really make it out. But to the shock of no one, their plan did not work. And so now is on the plan B or C, wherever they at, as far as their plans, because nothing is working when it comes to trying to clear the name of Hank, I believe his name is, and the father of Ronnie, of the crime of killing those children in the theater. And so we move on to Leroy taking his son out to fish, to spend some time with him one weekend because, you know, they're trying to get a relationship together because they don't have one due to Leroy's work schedule or his commitment to the military. So we don't have that connection. And so he takes them fishing. And while they're fishing, we get an encounter of it, where what's the character's name? The young black character. Is it Rich or Will? No, it's Will. He encounters the manifestation of his father being burnt up in a crash, and dragging him down into this ravine or whatever. And Leroy comes to save him, and Leroy somewhat believes him because Will has marks on his arms, like he was clawed by something, grabbed and latched on by an animal. And they both see the floating balloon. And so we get that whereas Leroy is in tune with it, he's kind of in tune with it because Leroy doesn't have a fear. He doesn't have that gene of fear. And so he's connected to him. Plus he knows about the shine through Dick, who, they had the conversation in the last episode. So he knows there's something off. And Will tells him that it's something wrong with Derry. Is some evil in Derry. So there's that. So we leave off with that, and we later find out that is Will's fear. He always had that fear of his father dying or being burnt alive due to a crash, an airplane crash, and that's his biggest fear. And we know that it manifests itself as your biggest fear. And I never really I thought about it today watching this episode. I'm like, man, what is my biggest fear? Because I have a lot of fears. I don't know what would be constituted as my biggest. I think it would have a field day with me. I think my biggest fear is frogs. And look, you can laugh all you want. I'm terrified of frogs. So he would probably attack me as Kermit the Frog or something. But that's neither here nor there. And so we move on. We see Charlotte. She was already set up as this civil rights activist or this civil rights fighter, freedom fighter in the South. She's even been arrested and all this other stuff. And Leroy doesn't want her to conjure up her old ways in Derry, because they're trying to have this peaceful life there. But we all know that's not going to happen. They picked the wrong town to try that. But she's taken on the mission to free Hank, who is, of course, incarcerated for the murder of those children, falsely incarcerated, I might add. And she wants to fight the fight because she believes that he's only locked up because he's a black man and so on and so forth, wrongfully convicted. And so they were not even convicted because he ain't even been to trial yet, but he's about to be sent to Shawshank, and nobody comes home from Shawshank. That's the tale. And she goes to the jail. She finally gets in after meeting with his grandmother, and she writes a letter to allow her to go see him, and had to have a little back and forth with one of the officers in order to allow her to go back there and speak. So they spoke, and she's trying to explain to him how the legal system works. This, I can get you out, and so on and so forth. And she wants to know where he was because his mother told Charlotte that I thought he was in his room, but he wasn't in his room that night. He wasn't there. So she wants to know where he really was. It can help him in his case, and he is so guarded by it. And I initially thought that, okay, he was at that gay bar, the one that they showcased earlier. That he was there, and he has a male lover and all this here, and this is 1960s, so you know that it was fraud. Well, it's frowned upon now in certain circles. So just imagine in the 1960s. So he's being guarded about that, and I really thought that's what the secret was. But my God, it was worse. It was far worse. And you would not realize how worse it is unless you're a black man or a black person, period. Come to find out, he was with a woman, but not any woman, but a white woman. And oh my God, man, my heart dropped. That was my fear. That was the scariest thing on this show today. Because you got to think 1960s. I don't care how far north you are in the country around that time. That that was a no, baby. Not only was she a white woman, but she was married too. And so no. No, they're gonna kill him. That's basically what he told him. Like, they wouldn't take me to Shawshank if they found this out. They'll find the nearest tree, and nothing rang truer. I'm like, man, I wish you would have just said you was gay. You would have got off better saying you was gay. But that's not what we got. And so, meanwhile, our OG losers here, they come up with a plan to kind of suppress their fear after they put their heads together and realize that this entity, it is manifesting their greatest fears and using it against them. And they come up with a plan to take this, I guess, Xanax or something, whatever Lily's mom has, those pills, to kind of mellow them out, but so they won't have any fear. And so they have that going for you. All the while, you have Lily and what's the young girl name? Marge? Yeah, Marge. They Marge tries to rekindle their friendship all the while they're watching this documentary in class about flatworms that crawls into snails and cause their eyes to bulge out, thinking it's a throwaway little portion of the show. Didn't know it was going to play such a big role in just a few minutes on this show. But Marge was creeped out by it, as I was. And I remember watching that particular documentary. I don't know if it was in school or not, because I watched a lot of nature documentaries and stuff like that when I was obsessed with those days. And so I remember watching that, and I was like, man, that is freaky. It's weird. It's all about the food chain, because the tapeworms does that to get go into the snail, so the snail eyes can pop out to draw the attention of the birds, so the birds can come and eat them. It's crazy how all that is set up. But anyway, that has nothing to do with it. Anyway, we we go to this. She sets up through this little plan from the patty cakes to set her up to be embarrassed in front of the school. So she offers to have lunch with Lily. And man, this was so heartbreaking. This little portion of the show, I mean, my heart was just pounding a mile a minute for Lily, because I have become such a huge fan of that character. And the little young actress who's playing her, she is killing it in this role. Love her in this role. Lily is a character that you can just get behind, and it's like she's growing every single episode as far as her acting is concerned. So it was heartbreaking watching this. I was more broken watching this than it was with her going through running from these ghosts and the manifestations of it and the pickle monster and all this other stuff. This was heartbreaking because this is real. This is something that people went through or are going through in school and whatnot. being set up, being bullied, being embarrassed amongst your peers. And the setup was on. And what made it so heartbreaking was the joy that she had, because through 4 episodes, we have not seen an ounce of joy on this young girl's face at no moment. And finally, she has joy, and we're sitting there as an audience knowing that this is false. This is not real, that she is going to be completely humiliated in front of the entire school. And so that was scarier than any clown with glowing eyes to me. But before we got to that, when she was in the bathroom, she was so scared. She was so nervous that she had to use the bathroom, and she went into the bathroom. She's in there with Marge, and Marge is the whole setup was uh, um this boy came and spoke to her once again, part of the whole setup, and is a boy she likes. Is the heartthrob of the school. And Marge lies to her and tells her, like, hey, he likes you, go speak to him and whatnot. So she's like, well, I gotta go wash up in the bathroom. I gotta clean up myself. And she's in the bathroom. She's nervous and she has to pee. And so she goes into the stall, and Marge, while she's in there, guilt is just killing her. And she did a good job here too, the actress playing Marge. And she did a good job here, because throughout this whole little process, you could tell it was like pulling teeth. She did not want to do this to her, because despite the fact that they're not quote unquote friends anymore, they're not hanging out anymore, she still loves her. That's her friend. She don't want to hurt her. And she knows that this will hurt her to her core. And she was about to confess, but before she can confess, it came along. And I thought back to, okay, are we gonna have something with because she wasn't set up for anything. We don't know her backstory, what her biggest fear is, and so what is it? And then suddenly she grabbed her eye, and immediately I went, oh my God. Oh my God. They're going to do it. And sure enough, her eyes bulge out like the snails. And it was the most disgusting thing you can ever see. And you felt so bad for her, even though she was going to do this horrific thing to her friend. Nobody deserves that, so she has these snail eyes, and she's running around, and Lily, she has the little pill, and she's telling her to calm down because she knows what's happening. She knows that it has something to do with it. And so she grabs the pill to try to she was going to give it to Marge, and she dropped it in the toilet. And so and she's trying to get it out the toilet. I'm like, no, no, I don't care what I'm going through right now. I'm not putting that in my mouth. But anyways, Marge, she runs into to the shop, or workshop or whatever, where they do the little woodwork in school, and she takes this fowler and she stabs the big eye. And in my mind, I'm like, did she really stab the big eye or her own? I don't know. But then you see the blood on her hands and everything. Like, no, she really did it to her eye. And so she goes, she sees a saw that's set up, the little jigsaw thing, the table saw. And she's about to cut off these eyes. Just in Lily, she comes in and she's trying to stop her before she does it. And it was like, oh my God, they're going to cut her head off or something. Somebody's going to walk in. And sure enough, she gets her off the table, but they're wrestling on the ground. And while she's wrestling on the ground, her eye is spewing blood. It gets over Lily, and she picks up the file. She takes it out of Marge's hand, and everybody walks in, and she turns around like she's stabbing her. And it's like, oh, this is worse than the embarrassment. This is so much worse. Oh my God. But that was cool. We don't go back to that, but then we get the big origin story. Now, this is the point of the episode where I like the fact that we got the origin story, but it felt like this portion dragged. It dragged on. It just went on a little too long to get to the point. But I understand, but at the same time, I didn't want this right here, because we were left off with such a climactic moment involving Lily and Marge and the school and all this here. And then it slowed all the way down. I mean, almost to the, it wasn't even a crawl. They just was sitting still with this story. But it was the origin of it and where it came from and how the indigenous people trapped it in this section, which later became Derry, the town. And so all that makes sense, but it was just the pacing of that particular point of the episode. The rest of it was great. The rest of it I enjoyed. I enjoyed that portion. It just went too long. That's the only thing. And at the end of the episode, we get the reveal that house, the main house from the show, from not the show, but the miniseries and the movies, that's the point of origin where you can go into the mines. And we all know that if we saw the movies, that's how the losers, the kids, got into the house and went to the tunnels and went to where it drills. Yes. It's just an episode to let everybody know that we are inching closer to Pennywise. And I don't know how they're gonna, incorporate Pennywise at this point, how he's going to work into the story so far. That's the only thing that's kind of confusing. I'm just letting myself go and going with it. But the manifestations are enough, to be honest with you. We're just being greedy, trying to find Pennywise, the dancing clown. That we just being greedy at this point. But I'm all in. I'm enjoying it. This was cool. Like I said, this was the weaker of the four, but it was still exciting nonetheless. But that's just my thoughts. I would love to know yours. What did you think of episode 4 of It, Welcome to Derry? And what do you think of the show so far, 4 episodes in? Is it living up to the lore that Stephen King blessed us with in the early 80s? Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Don't forget to subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review and recap of episode 4, It, Welcome to Derry. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.